Greetings, this is MapleBob23 for the MapleBob23 channel, and this is my second attempt at a video on Volume 1 of Neil Gaiman Sandman, Preludes and Nocturnes. I originally got this copy of this book in Spring Green, Wisconsin, and fans of Neil Gaiman, and especially the novel American Gods, will be familiar with Spring Green, as that is where American Gods kicks off. And when I was there, I visited both the House on the Rock and Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin. Of the two, I really enjoyed Taliesin more, but it was fun to see where some scenes in Neil Gaiman's novel took place. While I was in Spring Green, there was this bookstore called Arcadia, and I would spend the afternoons there having a beer. And to support the bookstore, I found this there, and I bought it because bookstores are becoming a little rare thanks to Amazon in part, and that's a little sad. On the other hand, there is the convenience of having all my books on my device, or most of them. So this is the story of the Sandman. So what happens in this book? In the early 20th century, there's a fictional occult group that's similar to real occult groups like the Golden Dawn and Asteria. I forget. It was Aleister Crowley's group after he left the Golden Dawn. And I guess there's also OTO, which Ordo Templi Orientis, those sorts of things. So the leader of this group, he gets a hold of this grimoire, and he is intending to capture death. Instead, he captures another entity, and the entity refuses to speak or deal with this character in any way. And this entity ends up being held captive for 75 years. The original leader of the group dies, and his son takes over, and his son is terrified of this creature. He would simply like to let it go, but he's fearful it will want to seek revenge. And he is justified in that belief. Eventually, the son is really old, and he's in a wheelchair, and he keeps visiting this entity, attempting to cajole it into a promise that it won't harm him if he lets it out. But he doesn't really go about it the right way, and he's in his wheelchair, and he breaks the circle that keeps the entity trapped, and it breaks out, and it puts him into a living dream, which sounds really, really horrible. So from there, we find out that this character is the King of Dreams, and that's what the title refers to, Sandman. That's just one of his names. A lot of times he's just referred to as the Dream King, sometimes Morpheus, but he has a lot of names. He's one of the more ancient gods. The Martian Manhunter, Jean Johns, makes an appearance in this book, and he's the Sandman, or the Dream King, is even known to the Martians. So that was very interesting. Yeah, this book was a real page turner. Even though I bought it in July, I started reading it while I was on vacation, but then I was on vacation, so I really only got like a few pages in, and it wasn't until this last week when I had finished up on 52 from the Infinite Crisis series by DC, and then I'd also gotten the first two volumes of Ellen Moore's run of the Swamp Thing, so I'd read those, and then I said, I really got to give this a try, and it was really good. It was a page turner, kept me going. What the main story is, after the Dream King escapes from his prison, he wants to get some of his power back. He's been disempowered for 75 years. Lots of stuff has happened, and he was captured with three of his holy relics. One was a helm that looks a lot like a World War I gas mask. He had his pouch which has sand that brings dreaming, and he had this red ruby that he created, which can manifest dreams into reality. Uh, and so the main story is concerned with bringing him back. And other than the Martian Manhunter, you also have a cameo by Constantine, who I know very little about. I have some Hellblazer on my device, so that'll probably be what I read next, or uh, next to next. Who knows? But like I said in the previous video, I'm really far behind. But I do really recommend uh, Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, and I really enjoyed American Gods also, which it's rare to read a novel by a comic book writer before you read any of his work. I might have read one or two of his books without really realizing they were him back in the day. I'm not exactly sure, and I just want to also give a shout out to Ale Asylum, Wisconsin's very own. Hopalicious is a very delicious beer, and that's about it. Yeah, go out and pick up this book if you're a fan of the art form. This is really very good. The artwork is very interesting. According to this, it's been recolored. Like you can see that this is the recolored version, which I have no idea what the original version looked like, but the artwork was very beautiful. I will say I read, what is that one by Alan Moore? Um, Oh, geez, it should be like right there. The Wachowski brothers made a movie out of it. I hated the movie. I hated the book, and the book itself was colored. And Ellen Moore said that um, V for Vendetta. Ellen Moore said that his favorite version of it was in black and white, and the artist who drew it had like yeah he'd used the black and white drawings to add to the story. And I could really see when I saw this interview, it was on YouTube. You can probably search for Alan Moore interviews on YouTube. And I could really see how I might have enjoyed that story a little better if it hadn't been colored. I thought the coloring was atrocious in the version of that book I ended up with. So, anyways, I've gone on far too long. If you like the video, please hit like, and I will see you next time. Oh, yeah, go ahead and share it and subscribe too. Thank you. Bye.